Reykjavik, Iceland. Xavier Pratsman could not say what exactly he expected from Iceland, this tiny gender utopia where selling pornography has been banned since 1869 and the world's first openly lesbian prime minister was elected in 2009. But it was no shock that the driver who picked him up from the airport was a woman. Until she offered to help with his luggage. What? No, 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 Mr. Pratsman replied, alarmed, and hastily picked up his suitcase himself. No, no, no thank you. Mr. Pratsman, 61, a quick-witted Spaniard with a ready laugh, runs the 900-employee Department of Health and Food Safety for the European Commission, the executive branch of the European Union. He routinely mingles with Europe ministers and, once, met President Barack Obama. But this past week, he was in Iceland to speak at what was billed as the largest ever gathering of female political leaders, sponsored by a nonprofit devoted to increasing their numbers. Less than 1/4 of parliamentary seats worldwide are held by women. Among heads of state, 7% are female. The summit meeting drew more than 300 current and former female lawmakers, prime ministers, and presidents. At a time when scandals of sexual misconduct in the workplace are roiling society, Mr. Pratsman was one of a few men on the roster of speakers. His topic, maternal health. When you speak to an audience of women about motherhood and you are a man, the risk of mansplaining is very high, he admitted. I had sought out Mr. Pratsman because I was curious, at an international conference of politicians, how does a man feel when he is in the minority? What could it tell us about gender equality? An anthropologist by training, Mr. Pratsman was intrigued. I deal with primates every day, he said of his male colleagues. Maybe this will be different. He agreed to let me shadow him for 24 hours. At 5:30 p.m., that female driver, a 27-year-old named Erla, was taking us to our first event, a reception hosted by Iceland's former president Vigdis Finnbogadóttir, 87, whose cult status is such that all Icelanders refer to her by her first name. Vigdis means war goddess in Old Norse. In 1980, she became the country's, and the world's, first directly elected female president and was a single mother to boot. Erla told us that gender roles were not that clearly defined in Iceland. Her father, she said, was a housewife for a few years when she was a teenager. Her mother, a nurse, was the breadwinner. Indeed, the World Economic Forum has ranked Iceland first for gender equality 9 years in a row, in an index that examines educational opportunities, life expectancy, pay equity, and other factors. 8 out of 10 Icelandic women work, the highest female employment rate in the world. The pay gap between men and women is due to close here in 2022. The World Economic Forum says that globally, it will take 217 years. It was starting to snow. The landscape outside was barren, almost moon-like. You need to be pretty tough to survive in this climate, man and woman, Mr. Pratsman observed.